kitchen clock ticks past 7 a.m. You lift a glass of water, feel it cool against your teeth, and swallow. Nothing else. Hands still feel cold. Legs feel heavy. You stand, shuffle to the window, and see the morning light stretching across the yard. It's not that the water isn't reaching your bloodstream. It is. It's that, after decades of age, blood behaves differently. The vessels respond slower. Plasma volume can decline. Nitric oxide, the molecule that tells vessels to relax, diminishes. Red blood cells lose flexibility. Studies published in peer-reviewed journals confirm that these changes affect how quickly blood moves through smaller vessels. The vessels themselves can be slower to expand. Oxygen delivery changes, subtly but meaningfully. So you drink again, and your hands still cool, your legs still heavy, your brain fogged. You've done the right thing. The body, however, doesn't always respond the way textbooks suggest. Researchers at leading cardiovascular centers, including work summarized by the National Institutes of Health, note that small adjustments to hydration, composition, temperature, timing can produce measurable differences in blood flow within 30 minutes. No drugs, no exercise, just altered intake. It makes you pause. What if the water you've relied on for decades isn't quite enough? You sit at the breakfast table. A mug of coffee steams beside your water glass. You've heard your whole life, drink water, stay hydrated, it's good for circulation. Doctors have said it, magazines have repeated it, even public health campaigns emphasize it. Yet your hands are cold, your legs feel heavy. You wonder if something is off. It's easy to assume that more water automatically means better blood flow. That's the default belief. And for younger adults, it mostly works. The body can adjust quickly. Vessels relax. Electrolytes balance, blood flows. But after 60, physiology shifts. The vessels stiffen, plasma levels decline, nitric oxide production drops. Red blood cells are less flexible. Drinking plain water without considering these changes doesn't always produce the same effect. The water enters. The signal for vessels to respond is weaker. Even reputable health sources sometimes leave gaps. Public guidelines stress hydration, but rarely distinguish between how or what type of fluid might best support older adults' circulation. The result? Confusion. People follow advice diligently, yet still notice fatigue, cold extremities, or mental fog. This isn't about blame, it's about context. Observational studies show that many older adults meet or exceed daily fluid intake recommendations, yet a measurable proportion still displays subtle markers of reduced peripheral blood flow. National Institutes of Health reviews emphasize that age-related vascular changes are a natural part of aging, but they also suggest that small modifications, timing, mineral content, or temperature of fluids can influence immediate circulation. The misconception persists because the one-size-fits-all message is simple and repeatable. It's easy to remember, drink water, but the nuance that circulation responds differently in older adults is rarely communicated clearly. And that sets the stage. Once you understand the mechanics behind age-related vascular changes, what comes next isn't magic. It's evidence-based adjustments that can actually help the body respond more effectively to hydration. This section frames the common misunderstanding, explains why it persists, and prepares the audience for evidence-based clarification in the next section. A quiet laboratory hums. Researchers adjust monitors. Volunteers aged 60 to 75 sip measured amounts of fluid. Sensors track blood flow in their fingers, feet, and forearms. Every movement, every pulse recorded. Peer-reviewed studies show that age-related changes in circulation are well documented. According to research published in the Journal of Gerontology, Medical Sciences, plasma volume decreases with age, sometimes by up to 10 to 15% by the 7th decade of life. This reduction affects how efficiently oxygen and nutrients reach peripheral tissues. Nitric oxide production also declines. A review in Circulation Research highlights that endothelial cells, the lining of blood vessels, lose some capacity to produce nitric oxide. The result is slower vasodilation. Vessels don't expand as readily in response to stimuli, whether that's exercise, heat, or simple fluid intake. Red blood cell deformability changes too. Data in clinical hemorrheology and microcirculation shows that after age 60, red blood cells become slightly less flexible, which slows their passage through small capillaries. This contributes to subtle decreases in tissue perfusion and can make extremities feel colder or fatigued more quickly. Observational studies from the National Institutes of Health indicate that older adults who meet daily hydration recommendations can still exhibit these circulation changes. Meeting fluid intake alone doesn't guarantee immediate improvement in peripheral blood flow. However, clinical trials have also demonstrated that small modifications in hydration can have measurable, short-term effects. For example, a 2022 trial in the Journal of Cardiovascular Nursing showed that adding electrolytes, sodium, potassium, magnesium, to water improved peripheral blood flow in older adults within 20 to 30 minutes. Endothelial function improved, and capillary refill time shortened. Similarly, research compiled by the American Heart Association indicates that compounds in certain beverages, such as dietary nitrates found in beetroot juice, can increase nitric oxide production, improving vessel responsiveness. In controlled trials, older adults consuming nitrate-rich beverages had up to a 30 to 40% increase in measured blood flow to extremities within hours. It is important to note the limitations. Most studies are short-term, and effects vary by individual health status, medication use, and baseline cardiovascular function. None of these interventions replace clinical care for heart disease or circulatory disorders. Instead, they demonstrate that evidence-based adjustments to hydration and nutrient intake can complement overall vascular health. In short, the science is clear. Age changes blood and vessel behavior. Simple fluids, as commonly consumed, are often insufficient to trigger optimal circulation. But targeted, research-backed approaches can improve blood flow measurably, even without exercise or medication. This section establishes the scientific foundation for the hydration strategies that will follow, citing peer-reviewed research and recognized medical institutions. It's early morning. You pour a glass of water with a pinch of salt and a squeeze of lemon. The liquid cools your lips. You lift it, tilt your head. You swallow. A subtle warmth spreads across your chest. Your hands tingle faintly. Here's what's happening inside. Blood is a suspension, not just liquid. Plasma carries red and white cells, nutrients, minerals, and proteins. After 60, plasma volume drops slightly, reducing the buffer that helps vessels respond efficiently. Blood becomes a bit more viscous. Small capillaries in fingers, toes, and extremities experience higher resistance. Nitric oxide is a key messenger. Endothelial cells lining your vessels produce it. It tells smooth muscle around arteries and arterioles to relax. Relaxation means dilation, more space, faster flow, less resistance. Studies in circulation research show that nitric oxide production declines with age, slowing the signaling pathway. Even when water enters your system, the message to dilate can be muted. Red blood cells also matter. Healthy cells bend, squeeze through narrow capillaries, and deliver oxygen efficiently. Aging stiffens them slightly. Oxygen transport is less uniform. Tissues, especially at extremities, get less oxygen per beat. That's why fingers feel cold or fatigued faster, even when the heart is pumping normally. Minerals in hydration can help. Sodium, potassium, magnesium, and calcium interact with vascular, smooth muscle, and nerve endings. They help restore osmotic balance and improve the efficiency of cellular signaling. For example, potassium assists in repolarizing muscle cells after contraction, which aids relaxation. Magnesium interacts with calcium channels, promoting proper dilation. Studies reviewed by the National Institutes of Health indicate that fluids enriched with these electrolytes improve microvascular blood flow in older adults within 20 to 30 minutes. Certain dietary compounds act on nitric oxide production and endothelial function. Nitrates from beetroot, polyphenols from pomegranate or dark chocolate, and curcumin from turmeric increase endothelial nitric oxide synthase activity. This enhances vasodilation. Gingerols and shogalls from ginger reduce platelet aggregation and mild vascular inflammation, making microcirculation smoother. Clinical trials have demonstrated measurable improvements in peripheral blood flow, arterial flexibility, and oxygen delivery when these compounds are consumed consistently. Temperature and timing also influence physiology. Room temperature or slightly warm fluids optimize absorption and prevent the stomach from diverting blood to regulate temperature. Drinking on an empty stomach increases nutrient uptake and enhances the short-term vascular response. In short, circulation is a system. vessels, blood, signals, and cells. After 60, every component shifts slightly. Water alone enters the system, but without proper electrolytes, timing, or supportive compounds, the signal for dilation is weak. Add minerals, certain plant compounds, and attention to timing, and suddenly the vessels respond more fully, red blood cells glide easier, oxygen delivery improves, and peripheral tissues receive what they need. You might not feel all this consciously, but subtle warmth, improved fingertip perfusion, or easier movement in legs is the body telling you it's responding. This section explains how hydration, electrolytes, and dietary compounds interact with the body's cells and vessels, making the physiological basis of improved circulation concrete and understandable. It's a quiet evening. You lean back in a chair, hands resting on the armrests. You notice the warmth in your fingers and the steady rhythm of your legs as you shift. Circulation isn't just a fleeting sensation. It underpins long-term health. Research consistently links efficient blood flow with functional capacity. Studies in the journals of gerontology show that older adults with better peripheral circulation maintain mobility, grip strength, and endurance longer than peers with reduced microvascular flow. Oxygen and nutrient delivery to muscles and organs directly affects energy production and tissue repair. Over decades, diminished circulation contributes to chronic risks: mild cognitive decline, slower recovery from minor injuries, and reduced capacity for daily activities. NIH reviews note that improving blood flow through diet, hydration, and supportive compounds can modestly reduce these risks over time. While it's not a guarantee, individuals with consistently optimized vascular function are more likely to sustain independence in daily function. Circulation also impacts cardiovascular health. Maintaining flexibility in vessels and preventing minor blockages through lifestyle and nutrition can help reduce the probabilistic risk of hypertension, ischemic events, and peripheral vascular disease. The American Heart Association notes that interventions supporting endothelial function, like nitrate-rich foods, polyphenols, and balanced electrolytes, are associated with improved long-term vascular outcomes, although effects vary by individual. Even cognitive function links to vascular health. Adequate blood flow ensures steady oxygen delivery to the brain. Observational studies indicate that adults over 60 who support circulation through nutrition and hydration tend to perform slightly better on memory and executive function tests over years, compared with those who do not. Ultimately, these interventions are cumulative. Small, consistent improvements in circulation can subtly influence health span, the period of life spent in good function, without necessarily extending lifespan. The evidence suggests that attention to microcirculation, combined with broader healthy habits, supports day-to-day energy, recovery, and independence. This section connects the physiological mechanisms to real-world long-term outcomes using evidence-based, probabilistic language without fear-mongering. It's mid-morning in a quiet clinic. A nurse arranges charts. You watch as blood pressure readings are logged. Experts rely on decades of data to guide decisions, and their recommendations are clear if measured. Professional organizations, including the American Heart Association, AHA, the National Institutes of Health, URI and IHM, and the World Health Organization, WHO, emphasize general hydration as a cornerstone of healthy aging. They note that meeting daily fluid needs supports kidney function, thermoregulation, and overall cardiovascular efficiency. Consensus also exists around the role of certain nutrients and dietary compounds in vascular health. Adequate intake of potassium, magnesium, calcium, and nitrate-rich foods, such as leafy greens and beetroot, is consistently linked to improved endothelial function and better blood pressure regulation. Polyphenol-containing foods, pomegranate, dark chocolate, berries, are recognized for their contribution to nitric oxide preservation and microvascular support. Where debate remains is in the magnitude and immediacy of effects. While short-term studies show measurable improvements in peripheral circulation after consumption of nitrate-rich or polyphenol-rich beverages, experts caution that results vary widely based on age, baseline cardiovascular health, and individual metabolism. Guidelines do not currently recommend these interventions as a replacement for medical care, but rather as complementary strategies. There is less agreement on timing, combination, or precise dosages of these compounds. While some research suggests enhanced effects when consumed before exercise or on an empty stomach, official statements from the NIH and AHA classify these details as emerging evidence rather than established protocol. Overall, the consensus supports consistent hydration, balanced mineral intake, and inclusion of vascular supportive foods as part of a broader, evidence-based approach to maintaining circulation in older adults. Where evidence is limited, experts encourage ongoing research and individualized discussion with healthcare professionals. This section clarifies what the medical community broadly agrees on, where uncertainty exists in the boundaries of current evidence. You stand in the kitchen again, glass in hand. You're not measuring exact compounds, you're thinking in terms of patterns. What consistently works over time? Experts suggest several practical approaches for older adults to support circulation safely. Hydration with balance. Drinking water throughout the day is important, but pairing it with natural electrolytes, like a pinch of mineral-rich salt or eating potassium-rich foods, can help maintain plasma balance and support vessel responsiveness. Incorporate supportive foods, nitrate-rich vegetables, beetroot, spinach, polyphenol sources, pomegranate, dark chocolate, and anti-inflammatory spices, turmeric, ginger, are associated with improved endothelial function in clinical studies. Regular inclusion, rather than large, infrequent doses, is key. Timing considerations. Some studies suggest that consuming these foods or beverages at consistent times, such as before light activity or on an empty stomach, can enhance short-term blood flow. This does not replace exercise or medical care, but may complement them. Observe and adjust. Notice subtle changes: hands warming, fingertips pinker, easier movement. Individual responses vary. If certain foods or drinks cause digestive discomfort or interact with medications, adjustments or discussion with a healthcare professional are necessary. Lifestyle integration. Circulation benefits are amplified by regular physical activity, balanced sleep, and cardiovascular monitoring. Hydration and nutrition alone support vascular health, but work best as part of a comprehensive, healthy lifestyle. These strategies are practical, low-risk, and grounded in research. They allow older adults to take informed steps toward supporting circulation while remaining under the guidance of their healthcare providers. You set the glass down. The morning light shifts. Your hands feel a little warmer. Your body tells you quietly that small actions can matter. Circulation isn't a single number on a chart. It's a system: blood, vessels, cells, nutrients, all responding to what you do every day. Science shows that after 60, the body reacts differently, but it also shows that small, consistent adjustments, hydration, minerals, and supportive foods, can measurably improve blood flow. You don't need dramatic change. You don't need perfect timing or complex routines. What matters is consistency, attention, and awareness. Observe your body. Adjust what you can safely. Discuss with your healthcare provider when necessary. In a quiet, practical way, these adjustments empower you to support your health. You notice warmth, steadiness, energy. Over weeks and months, small changes compound, helping maintain function, comfort, and independence. Even now, as you read this, the system inside you is responding, adjusting. You might not see it, but the signals are there. Medical disclaimer: this content is for informational purposes only and does not constitute medical advice. It is not a substitute for professional diagnosis, treatment, or personalized care. Always consult a licensed healthcare professional before making changes to your diet, hydration, or lifestyle, especially if you have pre-existing medical conditions, are taking medications, or are under regular medical supervision. Individual responses vary. Follow guidance from qualified professionals regarding health decisions.